Coding and thematic analysis. Code means the key point of the data. Coding refers to the creation of the categories in relation to the data, the grouping together of different instances under an umbrella term that can enable them to be regarded as of same type. After familiarizing with the data and organizing them for easy retrieval, researcher can begin coding and reducing process. Boyatzis explains a good thematic code as one that captures the qualitative richness of the phenomenon. It is usable in the analysis, the interpretation, and the presentation of research. Characteristics. A good code captures the qualitative richness of the phenomenon. A good code emerges from one or more original theme. Boyatzis states that a good code should have following 5 elements. A label. A definition of what the theme concerns. A description of how to know when theme occurs. A way of systematically observing person, an interaction, a group, a situation, or a culture. A way of converting qualitative information into qualitative data. Stages of coding. First stage, open coding. Researcher examines the data and condenses them into preliminary analytic categories and code. Open coding brings themes to the surface from deep inside the data. In this coding type, researcher is open to create new themes and to change these initial codes in subsequent analysis. Second stage, axial coding. Researchers organizes the codes, links them, and discovers key categories. In open coding, researchers basically focuses on the actual data and assigns code labels for theme. Axial coding focuses on organization of initial codes or preliminary concepts. It is more concerned to coded themes rather than data collected in field notes, but there are still rooms for additional codes or new ideas may emerge. Major task is to review and examine initial code. Reinforce the connections between evidence and concepts. Third stage, selective coding. Researcher examines previously developed coded data. Researchers look selectively for cases that illustrates themes and make comparisons after most or all data collection complete. Theme is a pattern found in the information at the minimum and organized possible observations, or at the minimum interpret aspects of the phenomenon. A theme may be identified at the manifest level, i.e., directly observable in the information, or at the latent level, i.e., underlying the phenomenon. Thematic analysis is another popular method of qualitative analysis in which researcher tries to reach conclusion of a study through careful identification of major themes from collected information, develop them into code, subsequently into category and property. It is an approach of dealing with data that involves creation and application of codes to data. The data being analyzed and might take any numbers of forms like an interview, transcript, field notes, policy documents, photographs, video footage, etc. Steps in thematic analysis. Familiarization. The first step is to get to know our data. It is important to get a thorough overview of all the data we collected before we start analyzing individual items. It might include transcribing audio, reading through the text, and taking initial notes, and generally looking through the data to get familiar with. Coding. We need to code the data. Coding means highlighting sections of our text, usually phrases or sentences, and coming up with shorthand labels or codes to describe their content. Generating themes. Next, we look over the codes we have created, identify patterns among them, and start coming up with themes. Themes are generally broader than codes. Most of the time, we will combine several codes into single theme. Reviewing themes. Now we must make sure that our themes are useful and accurate representations of the data. Here, we return to the data and compare our themes against it. Are we missing anything? Are these themes really present in data? What can we change to make our themes to work better? Defining and naming themes. Now you have a final list of themes, and it's time to name and define each of them. Defining themes involves formulating exactly what we mean by each theme and figuring out how it helps us understand the data. Writing up. Finally, we will write up our analysis of the data. Like all academic texts, writing up a thematic analysis requires an introduction to establish our research question, aims, and approach. We should include methodology section describing how we collected data and explain how we conducted the thematic analysis itself, and our conclusion explains the main takeaways and shows how the analysis has answered our research questions.